Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Let's talk about the same old rallying call. That is the white people rallying call. Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought, a comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. I want to share a few thoughts on it. There is a common thread that white people are triggered by when black people are the cause of their guilt. Now, let me be clear, not all white people. A certain group of white people for sure. White conservatives, white evangelicals, the white conservative media. The recent horrific murder of Jordan Neely on a New York subway by Daniel Penny has sparked this, again, continual. I'm not going to say renewed, it is a continual. This horrific murder certainly have the reminders of George Floyd. You had a man, a black man, Jordan Neely, who was on the train. Now, if you live in New York, seeing disturbed people, mentally disturbed people on the train, or homeless people, certainly is not abnormal to you. Jordan Neely was known to be a Michael Jackson impersonator, but was going through troubled times. He was reported to having mental issues. Now we know that because for sure the white media is going out of its way to broadcast his ills, his troubles. On this particular day, he was ranting about just ranting. He said he was crying out that he was hungry, that he was despairing of life. He didn't care about dying, going to jail. But Daniel Penny, who was an ex-Marine, for whatever reason, yet to be determined, decided he was going to intervene and subdue Jordan Neely by putting him in a chokehold. And he held him in that chokehold for 15 minutes until he died. Now, this was caught on video. And so we have the evidence. We could see this. Now, we don't see I don't think we have video leading up to the chokehold. But we do have witness statements that Neely wasn't threatening anyone. He wasn't brandishing a weapon. He wasn't attacking anyone. So the question becomes, what was the threat that Penny felt the need to subdue this man? What was the threat? We'll come back to that. What I'm focusing on now is how the media is responding to this horrific murder. And instead of saying it's an horrific murder, they're going out of their way. In other words, if you have a segment on it, they're going to spend 90% of that segment telling you all of the bad history of Jordan Neely. They're going to tell you how mentally ill he was. They're going to tell you about his arrest record. They're going to tell you about whatever other issues he was having. My response to that is, okay, let's just say every single thing that they report is true. Let's not dispute it. But doing this subway ride, did Penny know about that? Was Penny acting as a law enforcement to say, here is a man that's wanted, who needs to be arrested, so now I'm going to act as a law enforcement to subdue this man? Did he know that? Is that why he was subduing Neely? And then, of course, he did it for 15 minutes until he was dead. The media is focusing so on the fact that Penny was an ex-Marine, but Neely, bad person. And this is how this particular, and I'm going to say they are racist because this is the typical common method of operation that they do. That all of the stuff that they reported for the mental health and the fact that he shouldn't have been on there, all of it had absolutely nothing to do, had no bearing on the fact that Penny choked this man to death for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes, he choked him until he was dead. In other words, and sometimes I get frustrated because I'm waiting for somebody to respond. And there are people that do pretty good response, but I would be a little more resourceful that when people want to talk about all of Neely's trouble, my main question would be, oh, so did he deserve to die? In other words, all that what you're saying, okay, let's say I agree with it. Are you saying then he deserved to die? Tell me how this man deserved to die. Now, what I'm telling you is that this is no different, this rallying call, because you see a lot of white people rallying to the defense of Daniel Penny. Reports show that his defense, his lawyers have to be loving this, but they have raised over $1 million for his defense. This is nothing new. Now you see the picture there, and that picture was taken in the 1930s. A mob who lynched 2 teenage black boys, accused them of rape and murder. Typical, by the way, typical. The confession is believed to be forced. In other words, they admitted, but it was forced. Now, what's interesting about this rallying call that you see here, and the picture doesn't show the massive crowd, about 5,000. And you also had women and children. It was like a carnival event, a town event. And you see how they pose for the picture. This was typical during this time. There was a lynching in Waco, Texas. I believe around, I may get my dates wrong. I want to say 1906. But 30,000 is reported turnout for that lynching. And again, you see how the mob responded. They lynched. Even if they were found guilty, notice this was a mob response. Now, of course, Ashley Babbitt, who was a Trump supporter, who traveled to Washington, D.C., January 6th of 2021 to overturn the election of Joe Biden and to restore Trump to his rightful throne. Now, she was shot by, as you could see, a black Capitol Police officer, Lieutenant Byrd. But here is the interesting thing about Ashley Babbitt, because the same rallying call happened. They wanted this man lynched. They wanted this man arrested. But he was doing his job. And what's interesting about him, he was the police officer. And the mob that you saw was saying, yelling like, F the police. She ignored repeated commands. Now, they always tell us, comply, right? Comply. If black people just comply. Well, she was commanded to stand down, to get back, but she was breaching a locked door to the Senate chambers. So he shot her. Now, personally, I don't think he should have shot her. Firstly, I think he should have been disciplined. But my point here is that here she was breaching through, and despite her actions, her criminal actions, they still condemn the police officer. So you see the problem that this rallying call. There always seems to be this rallying call when it whenever there is a black person that is at the center of exposing white guilt, you will see a rallying call. Let me be clear again, not by all white people. Not by all white people. I'm speaking of that group who are always at the center of this rallying call. You see these three incidents here, same old rallying call. That's my perspective, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. As always, if you have a thought, a comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. See you next time.